I also, at that time, went to interviews, if you can believe it. I was very happy in my job, very happy. But there were opportunities, there were people that approached me and said, you know, how would you like to work in X? So I never had the intention of taking these jobs, but I really felt that getting to know the networks around these international organizations was very important. And again, meeting people. I mean, I was at the United Nations at an event on straddling stocks, and I didn't know what Jacques Cousteau looked like. But he came up and said hello and said, you know, I want to give you my card because I really enjoyed your talk. I mean, you know, and he handed it to me. I looked at it and went, are you really that person? So that was one. And the other one that happened was, as some of you know, of the Rockefeller Foundation and the Rockefeller Brothers. And one of the Rockefeller Brothers came up, Stephen Rockefeller, and gave me his card, the same presentation. And I still have those cards because I actually still, well, not Jacques, but with Stephen, still communicate. So you never know what circumstance will give you. Then I decided to go down to the States because I thought, well, this was at a time when there was a bit of a brain drain in Canada, and I was looking for opportunities outside the country, and I thought U.S. experience would be good. So I went down to the Great Lakes Commission because I had a foot in both countries then, because the commission is around the Great Lakes, and so you have 8 Great Lakes states and the 2 provinces. And then I introduced an international component with the Baltic Sea because it's a very similar water system. So that gave me all kinds of opportunities to learn about how the U.S. functions politically, different levels of government, and you know, who knew, again, that I would be briefing congressmen on the state of coastal wetlands in the Great Lakes region. And it just sort of happened. We developed programs. I mean, I'm not a toxic air specialist or a human health specialist or even wetlands, but these were programs that were really important to our constituents. So we thought, well, we'll develop programs. I hadn't fundraised to the extent that I had to for the Great Lakes Commission. I had an $8 million a year program. So I had to employ 10 staff. I had to find the money for them, and it had to be sustainable. So I came in with zero knowledge, had to fundraise, hire up, and get these programs running. So that kind of a challenge, you kind of have to be up for it. You can't just waltz in there and go, oh, I can't do that. You know, they'll pick up on that right away. So you got to be prepared to take some risks and be confident in what you know and be able to transfer that knowledge. We'll talk about that a bit later. I arrived at the UBC because we wanted to come back to Canada. It was time, and this was through another networking exercise. I had met Lloyd Axworthy at a conference in '97 in Toronto, and we talked for a long time, and it wasn't right then, but then when I read the press releases and I heard that he was heading up a center at UBC, and I thought, well, perfect, I'll call him now. So I did, and the rest is kind of history. I mean, we had a very enjoyable 3 years of setting up programs and projects, expanding into the university a little bit more, raising our profile, and as you can imagine, working with a foreign minister, we actually briefed Chrétien going down to the bilateral discussions in the Commonwealth in it was in 2003. And so to have that level of access was quite exciting, I have to say. So I just wanted to just give you like 5 points to think about. And the first is obviously to take some risks. Be confident in what you know. You probably know a lot more than you think. Sometimes the exercise of writing out what courses you've taken, what skills, what you like to do, who you've met in the past. I mean, you never know. You could be at some icebreaker and there's someone there that's looking for someone like you. So that's another point was whenever you're networking, remember people. Remember that, you know, keep their cards, be organized, take notes at everywhere you go because you never know, you might be able to, or you might have to access those later. Confident in your transferable skills. Bring that to your interviews. Networking, I already talked about. Sometimes people think that development or fundraising, it's all the same, whether you're fundraising in the public sector or whether you're trying to sell something in the private sector. Be confident in those skills. You don't have to have them coming. You will gain those skills. And a lot of that is through communications. And the one last thing is I think writing anything is really, really important. So if you think you're writing a boring term paper, and who cares about this topic, refining those skills is absolutely the most valuable thing you will have. So you may not have never written a proposal for funding. For example, for my case, for the Toxic Great Lakes Inventory, like, what do I know about it? But I can research and I can write, and I can convince somebody that this is the most important thing that they need to fund. So don't be scared of some of the stuff that's on a job ad that you think, oh, I can't do that. Well, you can actually. I'll end it there.